The New Deal Attacks by Jack Breen
and Mary Elizabeth O'Reilly Ginhart. Dr. Francis E. Townsend, a California physician in his 60s, led a movement for the elderly to have federal pensions which had over 5 million members. Americans over 60 years old would receive a monthly pension from the government of $200. This was only if they had retired. This was to free up jobs for the younger generations. By 1935, many older men and women supported the Townsend Plan. Although the plan itself did not necessarily improve Congress, it helped support the Social Security system, which was passed by Congress also in 1935. Father Charles Gocklin, a Catholic priest from Detroit, was a supporter of Roosevelt, but that soon changed when he felt the president failed to harshly enough deal with the money powers of the United States. In 1935, he established the National Union for Social Justice, which was considered the first step towards a new political party. Gocklin, through a radio sermon, was believed to be responsible for the defeat in Senate for the Treaty of the United States involving themselves in the World Court. Many of his supporters were Catholics throughout the nation. Gocklin himself was thought to have the largest radio audiences until 1938, when he became known for being an anti-Semite. Huey P. Long. His rise to power was fueled by his attacks on banks, oil companies, and utilities. When he was elected governor, he attacked his opposition so forcefully that soon they had virtually no power in the political world. Soon later, Long was considered a dictator. Long, like Gocklin, started off as a big Roosevelt supporter, but soon after Roosevelt's inauguration, Long turned against the president. Long decided to create an alternative to Roosevelt's New Deal called Share Our Wealth. This advocated fixing the distribution of wealth. He believed that if the government used his idea of a tax system, then the economy would soon benefit.
In July of 1932, Franklin Roosevelt was elected. This was a tough time to be president because America was currently enduring growing pains. The economy was in trouble and unemployment was near and on the way to all-time highs. He brought to the table serious strategies that would make the economy more efficient for the future, and hopefully the people would like his ideas. By the time of December to January of 1933 and 1932, the economy was basically at the bottom of, as far down as it would get. Unemployment was hitting records of 25%, and the picture at the bottom left of the screen is of current unemployed people that are going out to get free donuts and coffee. And it was now clear that Roosevelt had to do something to change policies and help the people. In early March, Congress was called to an emergency meeting. They had to come up with a plan to save failing banks. And this was one of the first deals that FDR as president put through, along with some of the newer plans that came 100 days after. The Reforestation Act was a forest act that would hopefully bring young men that had currently served in the military to work. A lot of them were unemployed along with plenty other people. Over the years, more than 2 million men had worked on projects for this act, and it had basically helped forests all over and also give people jobs that they could rely on. The Homeowners Act. This was actually designed to help farmers that had the possibility of losing their farm or foreclosing on the debt. Basically because during the Depression, people were unable to afford food that they needed from the farms, and therefore no food, no money for the farmers, and people weren't buying anything because they couldn't afford it. So the farmers couldn't pay their bills, so therefore there was a possibility of them losing their land. So what this act would do is this would help farmers keep their land during tough economic times. The Federal Securities Act, or the SEC, which was designed on June 6th of 1934, was designed to regulate the stock market along with commodity prices. The SEC can also investigate insider trading, which a lot of large corporations can manipulate the stock market, therefore giving them an unfair advantage against individual investors. So the SEC is there to regulate and make sure everything is done in a safe and fair way. The National Industrial Act, or the NIRA, was designed in 1933 to keep large corporations from taking advantage of workers. They also would later design minimum wages to be set, and also minimum amount of hours and maximum amount of hours that individuals can work for companies. Before this, a lot of companies would either take advantage of workers, they'd be working too long and not being paid enough, or they wouldn't be working, at all, obviously, because of the economy. So this, once again, should help to keep businesses and corporations from taking advantage of people. The Live Poultry Code. This was one of the first government interventions in the private sector, other than some of the banking items. And basically the government had gone in and investigated the poultry code because this company was selling unfit chickens, and the government stepped in and said, look, you can't do this. And as it turned out, it was overturned because the government at the time lacked power to investigate the private sector as much as they did here.